Hello and welcome to another Minecraft video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my furloughed Minecraft projects, which is this map, which I began working on quite a long time ago now, actually 2013, so just over 7 years ago. And this map is called Harbinger. It's a CTM map, so if you don't know what a CTM map is, it stands for Complete the Monument. They're kind of survival-ish maps with different objectives that you complete, and then usually, traditionally at least, there are 16 different wool blocks around the map that you can collect. So there are 16 colours of wool, and you collect them all and place them on a monument somewhere kind of in the middle of the map. And this is one of those. It was a kind of a genre that I have always been interested in, and this project was something that I finished. I'll come back more to that, but I finished it at the end of last year, early November I think I released this, and yeah, I learned quite a lot from this project. It's something that I'm quite proud of bits of, and other bits I'm less so. This is the lobby, so this is kind of where you spawn in. You spawn in adventure mode, I believe, and if you try and kill yourself, you teleport back up, or you should at least, if my command blocks still work. Yeah, I'm in 1.15 instead of 1.14. I don't think that breaks anything, but I haven't played through this map in 1.15. I've got a few things like death counters. I would like to do a developer commentary of this map in its current state. I think it would be quite good to kind of reflect on what was good and what was not so good going forward into future projects. But the main things I kind of want to talk about today, rather than actually play through this map, I want to kind of talk about some of the things that I learned from doing this and what I would do differently. So I'm going to just teleport to the kind of starting area. I don't want to show off too much of the map in this video, just in case anyone does want to play it. I wouldn't say don't do that, but I possibly wouldn't recommend it. Let's get rid of this as well. Time set day. Yeah, so this is where we spawn in, or we actually spawn in, I think, up here. Yeah, so you spawn in on this kind of platform, and there are various things that you can see. You see that kind of dark area, so you probably want to go and visit that. This area was the first thing that I made for the map. So this was made in, I think, October half term in 2013. So this whole area, pretty much apart from that ship and that island, this whole area was made in 2013, probably Minecraft 1.7, or I would guess, or maybe even before that. And it shows a little bit. I am actually quite proud of it. I think the scale of it and having the wall so high and so steep does make it feel like you're in a much bigger world, but it's very grey, and it doesn't necessarily make sense that it's this grey because I've got all these vines to try and break up the grey. But if there are vines, there'd probably be other vegetation. There's plenty of water, there's dirt, so yeah, it's too grey. It's probably too boring. The noise on the walls, there's a lot of noise just because of how I think I use the old MC Editor Road brush, and it gives you these this kind of really noisy. Do you see these like random blocks floating everywhere? That's from MC Edit's erodes function. So kind of if I was to remake this area now, it would look quite different. But I still think actually it's held up pretty well, and I think this is in some ways quite emblematic of like how I feel about the map as a whole, because I am quite proud of it and I am quite proud of bits of it. I do think that, for instance, like I think this looks quite cool, but also there are bits that just it needs work. I think I would get rid of a couple of the waterfalls. Yeah, I am probably going to come back and edit some of this as well. I would like to release an updated version of the map, but I'll come to that a bit later. But one thing that I really enjoyed about the project and mapping in general is I really liked building these areas. I loved, you know, digging all of this out in MC Edit and then eroding it away block by chunk by chunk, trying to create overhangs like this to add a bit of interest. Broken some of these vines rather than have them all be that length. You know, I really enjoyed the creative side and making these areas, but I think the thing that because I got really burnt out, and I've only just come back to this project and back to Minecraft generally actually, and this project really kind of burnt me out. I wasn't in the mood to play. I wasn't really, you know, I just didn't play Minecraft for months, and that was because of how at the end of this project, when I needed to do all the mobs for all the areas and everything, and learn command blocks and do all of these other things around releasing a combat map, and balancing them, so you do everything you think you need, and then you play it and it's awful, so you you tweak things and then you add new things, etc. And that process got quite draining. I think it was something that I didn't really enjoy, so I ended up releasing this map basically unfinished, I would say. And the reason I did that was, oh, I got string here. No, I should have got rid of all the string. The reason I did that was basically that I went with the idea that it was better to release a map that wasn't perfect than to not release a map. And it got to a stage where I thought, if I leave this project without releasing anything, it'll never see the light of day. No one will ever play it, and people have played it, and I think some people have enjoyed it, some more than others, and some not much at all. But I think definitely there are some good points. I do like a lot of the things I did with this, and would probably do things differently. But you know, it's not it's not awful. I don't want to go into every issue with the map here. I have watched Let's Play of it, and I've tried to reach out to various people I've seen who've played it for feedback, and that's been very useful. I think one of the big things that one of the big reasons that I'm glad I did release it is because the feedback I got after releasing it was so much, well, a lot more honest, possibly, but just generally, like, it was really, really useful, and useful to see how people reacted to it and whether or not they were recommending it to other people, because that's the sort of stuff you don't necessarily get from beta testing. And not all the feedback was good. I mean, I mentioned I watched a Let's Play of it. It wasn't the most complimentary Let's Play at times, and that's absolutely fine, because you know, it was really something for me to learn from, and getting that feedback was really useful. So I definitely don't regret releasing it despite the issues, and it was certainly possible that I didn't come back to Minecraft, or particularly to map making. In which case, like, releasing the map when I did was absolutely the right thing to do. And the other thing is, areas like this, and areas generally, have evolved a lot over the past 7 years of CTM map making. So if you kind of don't map for a while, and then you come back to it and want to update every area that you don't think is like good enough anymore, you can spend so long. Just, if I decided to come back and redo this whole area, or even just cut it out, or I might never have released the map, because you know, then future areas would become outdated, etc. And you kind of constantly run into that problem. What else did I find? I did make some notes before I started this, so hopefully it's not too much of a ramble, but it is a bit of a thought dump, mostly for people in the CTMC Discord. If they do watch this video, I'll probably link it in there. And I would like to thank actually kind of everyone in that Discord, all the beta testers, all the who I did have, all of the help, particularly from Nava, the guy who made Nemesis and Nemesis 2. He was really helpful at times, and kind of answered questions and was very welcoming to me as well. But so was everyone in that community. It's a really nice atmosphere and a really good way to get into mapping, even if you don't want to make a full CTM map. Shorter maps and everything, I would recommend the CTMC Discord. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, despite the issues, I'm really glad I made it. I learned a lot, and I think you get a very different learning process from actually releasing something to just posting screenshots, etc. There were definitely some lessons for next time, and if I could say to someone who wanted to make their first map, don't make a 16 wool CTM map where this is the size of an area, because it will take forever. This took 7 years. I was not working on it solidly for 7 years, but 16 wool, coming up with 16 different dungeon ideas, and trying to make each one a bit unique and play well and have all the things a good dungeon needs is quite difficult. It's difficult to come up with that many ideas, and then also it's just kind of, it's difficult to want to keep making areas. Like doing something 16 times in a row is hard, especially when you're new to it and you're learning every time you do something. And just, I think, do something much smaller and then release it and see it be bad and see it have all of the issues that a first time map is going to have, and then try again. And you could do 5 3-wool CTMs and it would be less effort than one 16 wool. And much easier to playtest each one, and you'd be a much better map maker by the end of the 5th one than I am at the end of my first one. So yeah, I think that's definitely advice that other people gave me, but I sort of had in my head that I was only ever going to release one map. I didn't expect to want to make any more. I wanted to make one, and I wanted to make it as good as I could. And that was... Had this been the only map that I ever released, had it been finished, I think it would have been a good map. So, you know, it is what it is. It's one of those things where sometimes you've just got to learn the lesson yourself, even though other people did kind of warn me. Feedback's really important. Yeah, I said that. And yeah, ultimately, I just decided it was better to release an imperfect map than never to release it at all. There are kind of lots of things I'm proud of. If we go to, no, let's go, one of my favourite areas. There's a lot of effort that went into this map as well, in ways that, because I've seen quite a lot of, like, I want to say lazy is kind of a weird term to use here, but lazy maps where, you know, dungeons are one room that's been copied and pasted a lot, and then everything in between is just like 3 wide hallways, and there's no thought process into trying to build immersion or anything, and putting effort into things that you don't need to. I think that's the mark of a map that someone's like quite invested in, has put a lot of effort in, is when they've put effort into things that aren't strictly necessary. For instance, this is the 4th intersection of the map, the final intersection, and I mean, you can see basically the structure is that it's got 4 corners with different things, but there's still a decent amount of effort here. You know, I could easily have made this similar to the first 3 intersections, but because it was at the end of the map, I really wanted the 4th intersection to feel like your last hub, your last kind of big grand moment. I mean, it was definitely a mistake to have an intersection this big, but you can see how much effort went into this, I think, and I hope that despite the map's flaws, it is clearly built with quite a lot of love. I put in, you know, a lot of work into a lot of it, and I am proud of that. I am proud of this. I'm proud of, without showing you some of the areas, particularly the green wool area. That's the green wool area. Looks amazing. I mean, actually, the gameplay is pretty dreadful, but I'll get to that, I suppose. I think the biggest issue with the areas in this intersection is it just wasn't playtested enough. I did some rudimentary playtesting, but none of my beta testers kind of got to intersection 4 just through, life happens. Not everyone can give up the time to play through a kind of 20-25 hour CTM map, which I think this one probably is about that. If you're playing it for the first time, and another issue with having a 16 wall CTM map, especially for your first one, is that people don't necessarily want to play through it all the way. If you're doing a 3 hour 3 wall CTM, it's much easier to find playtesters, and you can playtest it yourself a lot more easily. Whereas this, it takes so long to play through from the beginning to the end that you're going to struggle to get enough people playtesting to actually playtest later areas. And that's not to say you shouldn't still do it, but it can just be a bit frustrating. And when you're already pretty much, I was just done with this map, I didn't want to look at it anymore, so I didn't want to playtest them too many times. But it does mean that this intersection is just very unbalanced, and needs a lot more attention than it probably should. That's maybe not overly clear, but basically what I'm saying is this intersection looks great. I put a lot of work in and should have put more work in because it doesn't play very well. Yeah, so I guess the next thing, we'll go to the monument, I suppose. Where is it? I've got notes on where everything is. I do have teleported in the map, but I don't want to show off everything that would be needed for that. So this is the monument area. You can see there's a shipwreck down there. So what's next? Well, at the moment my plan, I think, is that I want to come back to this map and give it kind of the polish that it deserves. I mentioned doing a developer commentary, so I will be doing that, and I will hopefully go back through BSM's Let's Play. He did a duo Let's Play with someone who I'm forgetting the name of now. It might have been KVT, but I will check. Yeah, this another area that is unnecessarily big, but I really enjoyed making it because it looked like, I think it looks nice. Still, don't make monument areas this big, it's a waste of time. Yeah, so what's next? I'm going to come back to this map. I would like to improve it, just make some better decisions and playtest things better, and do all of the things that would be required to take this from a bit of a weird map to a good map. It's never going to be the best map ever. It is my first map though, so I'm not kind of bothered about that. But I just want it to be, I want to have at least one map that's properly finished and properly playtested, and so I'm going to come back and finish it here. I've got a couple of ideas for future CTM projects, or maybe not CTM, but possibly survival type maps that I would like to visit as well, or to have a go at, but I think I want to finish this first. The ideas that I'm coming up with in my brain are also huge projects, and I've just said that the lesson I want to learn from this is not to take on projects that are too big. So we'll see if I have any success at that. You can actually see the monument is inside the end, which I think is actually quite a cool idea. One thing I would do, well, one thing I think I'm going to do is put end portals at every intersection, including the first two, because having an end portal does not give you access to this area. I also want to remove a lot of the loot and rebalance a lot of things. Possibly, I don't think I'm going to redo any areas completely, but I need to have a think about the area that's through there because I'm not the biggest fan of it. Yeah, so kind of next is I want to finish this map, properly publish it, and then I also want to kind of upskill. I want to learn how to use World Painter properly. The Blackwall area was made in World Painter, but then a lot of the work was done in World Edit anyway. World Edit at the moment just doesn't seem to be particularly stable for 1.15, so I've switched to using 14 or edit, but that's got quite a steep learning curve and one that I never really kind of cleared the first time when I was finishing off this map, so I really want to get to grips with that, and that's likely to stay up to date and is a much easier to update thing than World Edit is, I believe. I don't know too much about the actual coding. In case anyone played the map and wondered what this was, this was a little homage to Zisto plays Kaizo Caverns in his first episode. So, wait one sec, I suppose I'll just give myself a torch. So these in his Survival Island playthrough, it basically got ended because he had a hard drive crash, and this was just a reference to that part of his first video, which I hope someone enjoyed, because yeah, Zisto's early CTM playthroughs are pretty legendary, no pun intended. Yeah, so I don't think I've got too much more to say. As I said, I do want to do a developer kind of commentary on this version of this map, and maybe I'll do some videos where I am actually working on updating the map. I think if nothing else, there's a few bits that need some aesthetic updates and a few bits that just need some gameplay tweaks, which the aesthetic updates are probably easier and definitely more fun than gameplay updates in some ways. But yeah, so I'm not going to drag this on too much longer. It's already been 20 minutes. I'll probably cut out some of my ramblings. But I hope this has kind of been interesting. And I'm interested to know if there's any other map makers watching, like how they felt at the point that they published their first map, and you know how they feel about it now, however long since then, whether they're still proud of their first map or whether they think it's an abomination and wish to forget it ever happened. So yeah, thank you very much for watching if you've made it this far. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope you stick around for some more videos like this. I don't know exactly have a schedule on when Minecraft's going to happen, but happen it will. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.